Welcome back everyone. In this tutorial, we will continue our discussion on HTML styles in CSS. So quickly, let's get started. External CSS. In HTML, an external style sheet is used to define the style for many HTML pages. To use an external style sheet, add a link to it in the head section of each HTML page. That is, quickly, let's go to example. Here in our former video, this is how we have our document. You can see this is an inline style sheet because we are having the styles inside our head tag. After that, we are having the style tag, style element, opening and closing style element. Inside the opening and closing style element, then we now write our CSS to be able to style our body tag and also our H1P and H3 and site elements. To be able to style this, we use inline style sheet. Now everyone, if you haven't watched this tutorial on how we did this, you can go to the a tutorial before this one. You will find the tutorial there. So quickly, let's change this how it looks, because this one, it can make our document looks rough when we continue writing CSS inside the document like this. And this is called inline CSS. Let's see how it looks. You can see how it looks, but now we want to change the way it looks. We want to change the way we wrote the code. So let's delete all this code here and leave the head section empty. Let's save it and come back to our Google Chrome. Reload it. Can you see? No more colors inside our what? Inside our page here. So come back quickly. So what are we going to do? We are going to use inside this head tag, head section. Inside the head section, you can see after the head section we have body section. Can you see? So inside the HTML doc type, after the HTML doc type, we have the HTML opening and closing tag. After that, we have the head section. This is the head opening and closing head. And also after that, we have what? Body opening and closing. But inside the body, we write the HTML elements that we want to display on our browser. So, and also inside the head, we are going to put the link, the CSS style sheet link. Like this is what we are going to do. You write link. Can you see? Click this. This is automatically generated from what? From Visual Studio Code. Benefit of using Visual Studio Code editor. If you haven't watched the video on how we install this Visual Studio Code editor, go and watch our second tutorial, I think, on this series. You can watch it. When you watch it finish, then you can come back to follow along again. Everything you put inside this head section here is not going to be displayed. That is the scope of HTML. Whatsoever inside here will not be displayed, and whatsoever inside here will be displayed. I think you are getting the point. Whatsoever you put here will not be displayed. So like this, now we are going to use the CSS style, the link tag. So after this link, let me write it from scratch so you can see how it works. You write link. After the link, you have to write rel. Can you see this rel attribute? Press tab. style sheet. You write style sheet. After that, you have to write href attribute. Then you can write style.css. You can write any name here, any name that you want. You can write sorry, or you can write as you can see .css, but anything you will write here must be .css. So because we are linking to a file, so now a file that is named .css is the one we are linking to. So you have your closing tag here. So but the funniest part here is that this link element is not having the closing tag like this. It's not going to have the link tag here. It's never going to have it. So you will not need this if you want it to work. So let's save it. Let's remove the closing tag and save our document now. This .css that we wrote here, let's reload our document. You can see no styles yet. So now let's go back to our document. Let's go back to our document. Double click to open your HTML folder. This is where we have our index file, the index file that we are showing here, that we are writing here. Here is where it is. Here is where it is. Inside this folder, I created a folder and I create a new text file here, and I title it, I name it index.html. So now we want to use CSS. So now let's create a CSS file. We will right click. After right click, go to this new and press new text document. When you press new text document, just write .css. The reason why we are using .css is that if you want to change a file name extension, the file might become unusable. Are you sure you want to change? Say yes, because we know what we are doing. Yes. Can you see it's changed? The icon changed. So we are using this to style this index.html. So let's open the inside the let's open the with right click it and open it with Visual Studio Code. So the is here now. So let's go back to our index.html. So this is our index.html along with the .css. You see .css. Now you can see .css here also. So now this is our .css here, and this is our index.html. So we have put the link to this inside the .html file. So quickly, the is not having anything yet. So now the code that we wrote earlier, let's paste it here to see how works. But here you will not have to write this style element again. That is the thing here. Now I want us to work fast. That's why I copy and paste the code here. So you have to delete this style element here, because you must not have HTML tag here. So when you remove this, the opening and closing tag, you have to remove it. The closing tag also, you have to remove the closing tag. Can you see this one? So I will remove it. When I remove the opening and closing tag, let me just make this thing looks, let me drag it up a little so everything can look more decent. Can you see? I just leave it like this for so everything you can see. We start from number 1 p tag, number 6 is having h3 tag, number 10 is having site tag, number 13 is having h1 tag, and we style it. If you haven't watched the tutorial on how we style the document, you can go and watch it. This is exactly the way you are going to keep it here, but the only difference here is that you are not going to have the opening and closing CSS tag. You are not going to have it. Don't put it here. So now save the document and let's go back to our, you can see here we are not having anything like the style sheet here. We are just having 1 2 3 to 12 here. So our document is free now and it's fine, it's looking beautiful now. We are just having the link rel style sheet href omo.css here, so we can be able to use we can be able to use the omo.css. So this is omo.css. so now let's save our document. You will see that all the styles we apply to it now, and it will appear here. Everything will be nice again. Can you see? It works. So can you see how it works? So all our styles come back. So because we don't want to be stressing our document here, because when we start stressing it, it will look rough somehow. So that's why we came here to use this. So I want you to understand very well. We are using this external. This is the external style sheet that will link to the HTML document, that makes it looks more prettier when we are using the code, when we are typing whatever we are doing. So, and also if we want to write another thing again, we can write it inside this omo now. Let's say we want let's say we want, let me see how it looks first so we can see what we want to write. So let's say we want to give this inline CSS here, we want to give it a border. You can just come here inside our omo. You know we are having our omo.css here. We just come to our omo.css here. Okay, we are coming to the h1. I want to style the h1 tag. This is the h1 tag, right? Okay. Let me give it, you can put this h1 tag anywhere you want. You can copy it and place it at the top. If you like, and copy and you can put it at the middle. You can start writing it anywhere you want. It just depends on how you like to style your page. So this is our h1 tag. I put it here so you can be able to see what I want to do quickly. So now let's firstly save it and see how your document looks. You can see it still works the same, so it doesn't matter yet. So let's write border. I want to give it border. In our border series we have discussed about border. Today I will use 100% solid red. The reason why I'm using 100% here is that to see the default border of this h1 tag. So I will show you now that everyone following me, you have to keep, like, you have to open your senses very well so you can be able to understand this. I'm using this 100% to see what? To see the main border, the default border that they attach to this h1 tag. So now let's go to the document. It's not mean that maybe because we had this 100%, maybe our h1 tag we have a lot of no. Let's just see the default border that was attached to this h1 tag from HTML. So let's see it. Go back to your file. You will see the default border on this thing now. Can you see? We haven't seen the default border. So why it's not showing? Why it's not showing? I will show you one thing now. It's not showing because of what? Okay, let's try another thing. Let's say we write 10%. Can you see it's not working? But let's write pisu, px. I'm trying to do this in front of so you can see what is going on here. Can you see? We are seeing what? We are seeing inline CSS border. We are seeing the 10 pixel border that they are assigned to this inline to this h1 tag. The thing I want you to understand here is that this 10 pixel here is the pixel here is the one that can control this border here. They don't allow us to use percentage. So if you personally want to know the default border of this HTML h1 tag, you have to remove this. Let's do the trick. Remove this, then you will see the default border that I'm trying to get earlier. So now you will see. Can you see? This is the default border that they assigned to the h1 tag from the HTML. That's why we are able to use what? We are able to use this solid, the default solid border that they assign to it. This is default one. That's why we are this one. Definitely this is from HTML. We are digging deep to know the main thing about this HTML document. So now let's get going. So for us, that's why if you don't try and experiment it, I'm not sure you can get this very well. So try and experiment it so you can be able to understand this deeply. So let's go back and press now. As we have seen the way it looks like this. You see, this is the first size, right? So wow, okay, I don't want the default size, so let me increase the size. Now that's when you can use the pixel. We use the pixel to increase it. Let's use 1 pixel and see how it works. Can you see? It's calmed down. I don't think you get the point. No, now let's use 0 pixel to see what happens here. Can you see? It disappears. That is, if you want to increase this thing from nothing, let's say we want to remove the border and we want to start increasing it gradually by ourselves, you can only use what? Pixel to define it. So now let's increase it to 20 pixel. You will see it will be bigger. The border will be big, like 4. You can see it's getting big. So let's use 50. You see? Can you see? It gets bigger. So now I think we are styling from what? From our external file. This is our omo.css and this our, you can see, omo.css, and this our omo.css is inside where? Is inside our omo.css file here. So I think you got the point here now. It will make our document, looks more prettier when we use it. So once again, I think we are going to stop here. Once again, Anwar is my name. Anwar Akorede Ayofe is my name. So let us meet next time. But before we meet next time, let me quickly explain something for you. The external style sheet can be written in any text editor. The file must not contain any HTML code and must be saved with a .css extension. Here is what the .css extension looks like. Styles.css, that is any name.css file. So that's how it looks. So inside it, you are going to have your code, and this is how our code will look like. You can style your body tag, style your element, any element with, can you see now, with an external style sheet, you can change the look of an entire website by changing one file. You understand what I'm talking about? By changing one file, you can change the look of the entire website. Like for instance now, let's say we want to change the look of this body tag now. If we change the look of the body tag, it will affect the rest. Like we can do it like, let's change the look of the body. Let's say we want to write body here. Let's write body here, body, and let's style the body. Before we style it, let's see how our document looks. This is how our document looks. You know, the white, this background is having white background. You can see. So all these documents here we have white background. If we change the style, so now let's change it. Background color. Let's give it green. Can you see the background color of all the elements is having what? Is having green. That's how it is. That's how it works. So we change the background color of everything. And now let's say we want to change the text color of this thing from blue to another thing. It can never work from here if we use color. No matter how we use it, go and watch our tutorial on how I discussed this deeply. Let's say I change this to aqua, it will never work. Or else can only reflect on this one, only this one can have the color, because this one is not having, and other one that may not have, like this one and this one here, they may have the color, but this one will never have it. This one and this one can have the aqua color. Let's reload our file. Can you see? Only this one and this one is having the color, but it never appear here. Let me show you. In our former tutorial, if you don't know how I know all these things, you can go back to our former tutorial so you can be able to understand what I'm talking about. There is no any magic in this. You just have to follow along and see how we do things. So once again, Anwar is my name. Orúkọ mi ò yí padà. Have a great day. I wish to see you next time. Take care. Bye bye.